Hi, my name is Gregg Haverstick, and I am part of the senior leadership team at RealFoundations. Today, I'm here with Tom Taddeo and Ken Fisher from Kimco Realty. Tom, can you tell me a little bit more about Kimco and about your roles there?
Sure. Well, good afternoon, Greg. It's great to see you again. Tom Taddeo, CIO at Kimco. I'm joined by Ken Fisher, our CTO. Kimco is an open-air shopping center. We have about 569 assets representing about 101 million square feet. We have 650 associates and 17 offices here in the U.S.
And you also have a very growing mixed-use portfolio as well.
Yes, we do.
So over the last 4 years, Kimco has partnered with RealFoundations on two very large transactions. The first one being the merger with Weingarten Realty. So can you tell us a little bit more about the acquisition of RPT Realty and working with RealFoundations?
Sure, I'd be happy to, Greg. So RPT Realty is a company that we announced the acquisition back in September of 2023. And that portfolio consisted of 65 open-air shopping center assets representing about 13 million square feet. We worked with our RealFoundations previously on our Weingarten merger, which helped us develop a playbook that was instrumental in the acquisition of the RPT portfolio.
Great. So as part of this acquisition, were there any non-negotiable items that affected the acquisition as well as the integration efforts?
Sure. Well, not only were there a number of non-negotiable items, so the first one being the time. So we had exactly 100 days in order for us to integrate this portfolio. We announced it in September, and then we were closing on it in the first part of January. So you have that complexity of time, coupled with the fact that we are a public company, we needed to close our books and close the year for 2023. So you had that on top of executing against this portfolio. And there were really three keys to the success of that project. The first one being this playbook that we had developed with RF back during our Weingarten acquisition. And that was really key because not only did it establish a set of processes, but it also established a governance model for us to execute the acquisition, the merger of this information, the systems, the people, the processes. So key number one was having a very strong playbook that we were able to leverage coming out of our Weingarten acquisition and then use it for the RPT acquisition. The second one were the people aspect. So we had developed, working with your team, this IMO structure, which was an integration management office, and that really brought together key leaders from not only our business operations, our human resources, and our IT teams. That formed the basis of our IMO, and then more broadly, we had key stakeholders from each of the functional areas, which also were a part of this integration management office, responsible for executing the different parts of this transaction. And then the fourth one was our technology, and being able to leverage a lot of the tools and capabilities that we had developed during the Weingarten acquisition and bring those forward into RPT.
So clearly with the technology, with the timeline that was that tight, technology was going to play a very key role in being able to meet that tight deadline. So Ken, why don't you tell me a little bit about the technology and tools that Kimco leveraged to move that amount of data between systems?
Sure, and thanks for having me, Greg. So, at Kimco, we, as you mentioned, we went through the Weingarten merger, and we made a concerted effort to use AI in terms of helping us process the volumes of data in a timely manner and an efficient manner. And when RPT came along, we had the opportunity to refine those tools and to put them in place and to make use of them as part of the RPT merger. So in the first example, when you look at Kimco, we're a very integrated organization. We use MRI and Salesforce, and those two systems are fairly interlinked. A lease doesn't get into MRI unless it goes through Salesforce. Our entire lease workflow runs through Salesforce from LOI to lease execution. So putting leases directly in MRI would not have worked in this scenario. We were dealing with 3,600 leases coming out of RPT, and we did a time study with our people and said if we sat down and we did this manually, how long would it take us? We came up with about 1.5 to 2 weeks of human beings sitting there typing things into our Salesforce system. Fortunately, we had AI, and we were able to deploy that tool for us, and we kicked off the loading of leases into Salesforce on Friday afternoon, and we were done on Sunday at noon.
That's really incredible. And as part of these types of transactions, data validation is always critical. What kind of tools did you leverage to speed up that data validation?
Similar tools to the data load. It's just having the AI perform a different function. So, just like the 3600 leases, we were dealing with about 1.2 million rows of data. And to Tom's point, we had 100 days to get it done. Wasn't going to happen if we were going to do it manually. So we were able to use our AI tools, our AI bots, to do a side-by-side comparison from the legacy RPT data over to Kimco's MRI system, line by line through 1.2 million rows. Still had our people sitting on top watching what was happening, checking out any variances, making sure everything was operating effectively. But again, these types of activities don't get done in the time that we were talking about without the use of technology.
Yeah, and one of the key tenets throughout all of this was trying to minimize the disruption to operations. So it was critical to use tools like this to speed up the process. So now that Kimco's had 2 very successful transactions under their belt, what are some key takeaways that you can share with the industry?
I think a key differentiator for us has been this playbook that we developed. We formed the basis of that during Weingarten, and then we really expanded and built on it. And then even post-transaction, we went back to it and said, where are the areas, where are the opportunities where we can improve it even more? So I think having a very strong playbook, a roadmap for the team to follow, it wasn't just a technology roadmap, it was really for every single functional area. It had just a very complete set of documents, set of plans that people could follow, and very strong communication amongst the teams. That was another area that was very successful, and one of the keys was just a very strong communication plan throughout the project so that everyone knew what was expected of them, what they had to execute, and what the status was.
And as part of that acquisition playbook, I think what was key is in the integration management office, every department leader had their own project plan, which was managed as overall as part of this IMO that fed into a larger overall project plan. So having that sort of structure around this engagement, it was, as you said, first generated during the Weingarten project, further refined on RPT, and it's ready to go for the next one.
Yes.
And I would add, it's not just about the playbooks, it's about the people. And it's not just about Kimco. We don't do this on our own, and we would not have gotten this done on our own. You need partners like RF that know our business, know what we do, and know our people. You need partners like MRI and their data, our back-end system, to work with us on getting data into the system. And all those pieces come together. If those aren't working together, then these types of activities, these types of projects, they don't get done, and they certainly don't get done in the time that we did it.
Well, we certainly value that partnership that we've been able to create, and we look forward to continuing that in the future. So thanks for spending time with me today. Really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you.